Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream that I have been never shutting up about for the last couple of weeks. Uh, too excited for words for this one. Um, Moon subscribed as well. Thanks very much. We have a dancing Liz gift there.
Oh, is it my Charleston gift?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yes. Iconic.
Biff the Bowls. Guy's now following as well. Excellent, and it's one of my favourite pod shots as well. Unfortunately, it's not the pod shot on Jon that everybody wants. So, so this is a.
No, we're going to reenact it live, right here.
We are.
Yes.
We're straight onto it. Straight onto it. So, so thank you everyone for coming along. I know for everyone on my channel, this is a late one tonight. So, but let's move that above that so it appears over it. So, thanks everyone for coming along. Very, very exciting. I was watching Julian do his stream before this, so getting a little bit of getting a bit of a feel, getting back into the swing of the stream and everything. So, and the series and everything, very good, really, really funny. So I mean, obviously, you two are really excited to be on this stream now because it's it's a step up. I can't carry that one off.
Hey, you are our first interview in the hype build up for season 3. Yeah.
That is absolutely true.
Yeah.
I would have thought lots of people would have been jumping all over this because LARPs was big. It was a very good, very popular series.
We have a few more that are coming up, but you are the first. So.
Boom. I like
Bravo.
that. I like that a lot. I really do like that a lot. So, I think Julian, at the end of his stream, he asked a question, and it was about the end of the second season. And this was for Jon. So, Julian, mate, there you go. This one's for you. So, did Evan ever give an epilogue to the story?
I'm going to be honest with you. No one has ever asked me that question before.
Thanks, Julian.
Which means that you're already starting this off. I mean, really impressively. In fact, I don't think he did, because if the final scene is any indication, they're ready to continue playing in that game. So I don't think Evan actually gave a proper eulogy. I think he was just more like, all right, great session. We'll meet up next time, and then just bailed.
It sort of
like
felt
Evan,
like
right?
his speech before the LARP was kind of epilogue-y, even though we hadn't played yet.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. But it's not really it's not really something that I'm too focused on in terms of Evan and his penchant for making sure that people understand what he wants, which is not very good. But yeah, in that epilogue, I really kind of got the impression that he did not close the game out properly because otherwise that last scene wouldn't have happened. Or technically, I guess, third to last scene, the cheesecake scene.
Yeah, because Evan always struck me as the sort of ref, GM, DM, whatever you want to call them, he loves the story more than he loves anything else, and it was always a case of I've got this story, I want to tell this story, and it's difficult to put across. It's the way that he always, the players always came to him. It's like the same as they always come across to any sort of ref or GM with the whole, I'm not against you. Why do you always think I'm picking on you? And stuff like that. And to me, that's always because the story always comes first. The players are the bystanders. This is the story going in that direction. And it's like, I'm not picking on you. You're just following this that's going on here.
Yeah, Evan's very much dedicated to story, and that's a sort of a way that multiple people just play in certain LARPs. There's all sorts of different reasons, and I kind of feel like Evan makes mistakes because he focuses too much on story because he has to deal with other things at the same time.
Mm. So what would be your favourite? Thanks, John, for cheering.
I couldn't let the hype train stop at level 1.
No, I think our record is 2, so we're doing well. So, and we've got the nice little mug, the jar in the middle as well. So I mean, it's all good. It is all good. We're doing well. So what is your favourite Evan moment from the series, and why is it probably getting a kiss from Amber?
It's not actually.
No.
I I should get Liz to answer this question, honestly.
Well, I have a few though. This is the problem because my favorite Evan moment is also my favorite Evan characters, and there are so many. I mean, like whoop whoop whoop, whoop is iconic. Kita is fucking stellar. I also I really I'm cold-hearted ultimately, and I love the cake moment.
Oh.
I love it so much.
Oh.
And everyone else is always like, "Oh, poor Evan," and I'm just off to the side laughing and feeling like such an ass.
Oh God, gut wrenching.
But you played it so well, and then your anger in the next part, John, it was just very well done.
The anger was real because I hate all of you.
I know.
I'd say that my favorite Evan moment is probably I think it's probably Kita. Like I think that's the unexpected. Like that NPC sort of stood out from the others, so I'd say that like that was, to me, that was the most fun I had playing a character. Other than like, I mean, like I really enjoy the fight scenes and stuff like that. There's but yeah, I'd say that that's probably the moment where I'm just where we're getting ready to have him buckle under the pressure of being threatened, and for him to just be no. And I think that's probably my favorite.
Oh, also though, the 4v1 fight.
I mean, are we talking about my favorite in terms of the end result, or my favorite in terms of the execution of it? Because the execution of that fight was tough.
Both.
But just I mean both, I guess. Which is maybe why my favorite moments of yours aren't necessarily your favorite moments, because it just that fight turned out brilliantly. You come across as a total badass.
The thing that I think I like the most about that fight is that I lose it. Because I think it would have been too easy for it to just be like, I'm just going to take everyone down, and then run off and, be amazing and stuff like that. So,
like everyone dies except Evan?
Yeah, like I think that would have been
Evan
awful.
just was like, screw all y'all, I'm continuing this LARP by myself.
No, I think my favorite part about filming that fight was the fact that we couldn't get Mara, who plays Claudia, we couldn't get her to hit me with the hammer with any force at all, because Mara is the sweetest person in that cast, like probably hands down. So at the end, when she picks up the hammer, she's a big overhead swing and just slams it right into my chest. And I remember that kind of we had Sean Bechu, our fight choreographer, and me and Mara standing there, and we were trying to explain to her, like, I'm wearing a leather breastplate. I mean, it's a bit too small because it was JT's breastplate, not mine, but I'm wearing a leather breastplate, and this thing is made out of like latex foam, and if you swing it hard, it's not going to hurt me. And she'd be like, okay. Yeah. And we'd be like, no. But like eventually she got it, right? Like she nailed it in the end.
Yeah.
I walked into that one. But yeah, she brought the hammer down. But that was honestly my favorite part when watching that, is just like when she lets out the scream and just slams it. I think she screamed like that because that was the only way that she was going to swing that hammer hard. So.
Yeah, that was. I mean, that scene. I like that scene. That was. I mean, as Julian was saying, it was the 300 scene, wasn't it?
With our genuine 300 performer.
Yes, with your genuine 300 performer. I mean, that scene was awesome. That's like the from many of the LARPs that I've played in. That's the scene that every person wants. That's the scene that everyone wants to get, where they face down the enemy, and stuff like that, and walk in and take out a load of people, and they get that badass moment. But it's
the when you're fighting, it's what plays out in your mind. That's what you want it to be.
Yeah, 100%. Something else has happened. What John means is that Marcel was legitimately in 300. Oh, I believe you. I do believe you. So people, go and check that one out. Go and
we
check
never
that
painted
out.
his abs for
the spray paint. Yeah. So, Liz, what about yourself then? What would be your favourite moment as Shane? Because I will happily tell you mine. Right.
Okay.
And it was.
I want to hear yours.
Hugging the king at the end, holding onto him, and that maniacal laugh, where he just looks, oil on the floor, just get the lighter, and
That's
you're
right.
gone. And I was just like, oh my god, that's insane.
I have a special place in my heart for that moment, because when we watched season 2 for the first time, it was actually as part of a big, well, not season 2, but episode 10 for the first time. It was as part of a big party to celebrate the end of season 2. So we had like 200 people all in a room, and we watched at least episode 10, but maybe even 9 and 10, maybe even a few more together. And so that was my first time seeing that moment, and that was the first time that all of these other people saw it too. And they just all let out a cheer when we burned ourselves alive. And Julian chose the take that I was hoping he'd choose, which is the one where I laughed, because I asked him if I could do a take where I laughed, and he kindly acquiesced. So yeah, I think that one, plus this is kind of bookending Shane's character, because also the tavern scene, her very first time joining the LARP, let the flaming inn collapse on them, because that was my audition scene for Shane.
Really?
So, yeah.
That was that scene was fantastic, because you get all of that bit where all the players are obviously, they're going, okay, we'll do, that's great, that's a bit dark, but we'll do this, and then Evans is and there goes my plot. Great. And it's off in the corner. It's just like a quiet side note just over there somewhere, and it's just like it's one of the things that always sticks with me for that scene. But it's a brilliant scene. Yeah, the screechy murder violins as well for. Yeah.
Michael Hoffman, who was our composer for season 2.
Really? Yeah.
I think, Julian, correct me if I'm wrong, but did you give him Psycho as an inspiration for that moment? It's so handy having him here, we can ask him, and then he'll.
Oh yeah, this is true. Yeah.
Elizabeth, I think my favorite Shane scene is actually just before that, because it's when you cry out after finally stabbing Lance, and you just have that victory cry, which I know came out of just sheer exhaustion, because you
acting.
were also no, because I could hear that from about 900 meters away.
Because you weren't on set at that, you were back at the camp?
Yeah, I was working on something else at the time. I think I was doing like a rewrite, and I heard, like, I wonder what that is.
Liz just stabbed Mark. Excellent.
Yeah, later on, I saw I was looking at the dailies, and I was like, oh, that's what that was, and it was just, it was wonderful.
It was, I mean, there are so many good scenes in there. I have to admit, I think Scott he reminds me a lot of myself as a player, and I think some of his scenes are just.
I'm so sorry.
He's the object. Yeah, my LARP character Mac. Sorry, James, I'm not macking it up for this one, mate. My LARP character Mac is very much the. I put on a fake Irish accent and just take the piss out of everything ever, and I get away with so much because of it. And it's fantastic. I mean, I've been playing it for 6 years now, so it's all very, very real. So it's like, I made a note here of the funeral scene as well, and I remember watching it for the first time and just seeing everybody lying there, and it was just like, it reminded me, there was at Empire, the LARP that I do, where thousands of people, and the battles are 1,000 strong, so there's 500 on each side armies. beating the shit out of each other basically, and it's great. And you do battles like where you're marching back and you're seeing some people dead on the floor, and it's did one of them where I actually saw the guy who was playing my in-character uncle just lying there, and it's just, oh, the feelings that you get from those sorts of things. It was just like, that was, I think, LARP in the media isn't covered very well at all. So like Role Models does a shit job of it. Was it Knights of Badassdom or something like that?
Yeah.
I got like 10 minutes into that shit. I couldn't watch it anymore. And things like that, it's not done in a very good way at all. And so when you see something like this, I was really excited for it, and I see how well you, I mean, because you LARP as well, don't you, Jon? So you've done LARPing as well. So it's nice to actually get someone who conveys this hobby in a positive light and shows everyone we're all weird at the end of the day, but we're all human. We all have feelings, and it's all a really, really nice thing, and it's great. And
Most of us have feelings.
Well, I don't want to say anything, but it's it's gone.
There's a reality when it comes to the people who play role-playing games, and especially play live-action role-playing games, is that there's so many different kinds, and that means that it's impossible for us to be true to every single LARPer for every single game that's played. It's impossible. I mean, it's also impossible. We can't do a large-scale LARP because we simply don't have the funds to clothe 3,000 extras as they wander around, right? Like that's something that we're not capable of doing. But what we can do is try to lend a little bit of authenticity. And while drama needs to occur, and so people have to make some mistakes, and there has to be some stuff that's kind of out there, and there's going to be a few jokes here and there, it was really important to everybody in the crew and everybody on the creative team to make sure that we were speaking not down to LARPers, or to kind of make a show for the rest of the world and say, look at these guys, like, they're awful. And then to have it be that the cool kid at the end is like, well, I guess I'll learn to love this crazy thing that you do, which is the plot of every other thing that I've ever seen LARPing involved in media. Well, not everything, but most. And to instead be like, yep, this is a thing that we do. And we all kind of acknowledge that it can be a little silly sometimes, and it can also be really affirming at times. So that's kind of the thing that I was really pleased with, that when Julian, who first came up with the concept, came to me because I had LARPed and I had the LARP experience, and that he was willing to buy into that idea of let's do this correctly, I guess is one way to put it. And that's what everyone else bought into too, and that's probably why I'm happy with this, as opposed to just feeling intense amounts of shame right now.
And it's Sugar Junkie has just said that watching LARPs was something that has slowly been prodding you to be interested in it since you first found it. You are not the first person to say that to us either. It's been incredibly gratifying to go to cons or to see on Twitter people tagging the show and saying, I just went to my first LARP last weekend, and it's because of the show. It's because the show made it look so fun. And then when I reached out, I realized how incredibly welcoming the community is, and how accessible it is. And so it's just, that was another added level to it that I don't think any of us expected. Was we wanted to portray the hobby fairly and as authentically as possible, with humor and also drama. But the fact that this show has been the gateway for some people to try LARPing for the first time, and who now love it and go to several events a year, when there isn't a pandemic happening.
Yeah, that's
it's been great.
It's that's definitely the thing, and that's what I mean. I love this hobby, which is the reason why I have this stream, this channel set up. As Dino Wiki Dan's just said, Liz, that is what Steve has done for me. So I mean, that's the most reaffirming thing I can get. I'm trying to get as many people into this hobby as I can. So yeah, Sugar Junkie, you are really not alone, mate. You are not alone. So I will encourage anyone to come to any LARP, Because I'm assuming you reached out to your local one, because I did my research here. It's Underground, or I think it's Underground.
So there-
Underworld LARP, based out
Underworld,
of
that's the word.
Toronto.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Underworld actually had a few of us as guests at one of their events in Ontario a couple of years back, which was wonderful fun. And that was also fun because I think it was our producer's first time actually participating in a live action role playing game, which was fun because that's always neat to see somebody do it for the first time and see something that they can get into. The best thing that I can tell anybody is that if you're thinking about LARPing but you're worried that you might not have the confidence or the bravado, as Sugar Junkie said, or whatever, is just go. And one of three things are going to happen. You're going to join a good LARP, in which case they're going to go out of their way to make sure that you feel comfortable and safe and do everything to make sure that you have a good time, because any LARP worth its salt knows that if you don't keep getting new players, they'll stagnate and eventually dwindle out. You will encounter a bad LARP, in which case don't go back and find a better one, because there are plenty out there. Or you're going to go and you're not going to have as great a time as you would have expected, and that's totally fine. It's better to try and see if it's something. And there's so many different kinds of LARPs: combat LARPs, non-combat LARPs, modern, fantasy, medieval, SCA, futuristic. There's so many kinds. You'll find something if it's something that you genuinely want to do. But most of all, no one's going to look down on you for being new if they're a group worth staying with.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's so many people around me who even down to the mental health side of things, everyone is so welcoming, everyone is so friendly, through anxiety through to anything, and everybody is really just Jon's volume is really low.
I've upped my gain slightly to see if that's going to help anything. If it's still low, let me know, please.
Yeah, that's fine. So I mean, every LARP I've been to has been really, really friendly, so it's all good. The one I got really excited when I was looking at that Underworld site and it said, one in London. And I was like, that's only like an hour away from me. And then it was London near Detroit. I was like,
London, Ontario.
Yeah, that's a little bit further away there. I can't really jump on the train and head to that one with some armor. Never mind. But so it's all really, really good. And I think Scott's trying to hawk a wheel calendar. Yep. So they're trying to get me to make a calendar as well. So Scott, hit me up on that one. We can fit you in for July, I think, at the moment. So still, we digress. We have moved away from the series to actual to LARP. So let me go back to some of my questions then. So Liz, then, apart from Shane, what would be who has been your favourite character from the series? Ignore the fact that Jon is sat there.
Yeah.
It's not going to be me. Don't worry. I know what my answer is, and it's definitely not me.
So long, because I think to throw you some props, Jon. You wrote everybody so well and gave everybody such brilliant moments and arcs that it's really hard to choose a favorite. I'm gonna have to say Will, because in particular because of his moment in episode 10 of season 2. That gets me every time when he's holding Corellia and he drops into character for the first time. I just think that Scott's performance in that is brilliant. And this is not because he's listening from the other room or watching the stream right now. It's not because of that. It's really well done.
One of the things that was a goal while we were developing season 1 and then later on to develop season 2 was anybody who had read any version of the script, I would ask, who is your favorite character? And if I found out that one of the characters was not being brought up ever, then that meant that that character needed some extra work, because I wanted to make sure that there was an ensemble. And it's not just me, the actors, Julian, Ben, everybody was really hoping to make sure that this was a true ensemble piece.
Yeah.
And there were times where I was worried that, you know, like someone was just going to fall by the wayside, and it didn't happen, which is, you know, I'm happy that we were lucky enough to find a group that was able to bring all that together. But if I had to pick somebody, it's Will. It's Will because I'm excited for what I want to do with him for season 3.
Interesting. I like that. That's yeah, interesting. Very interesting. See, I think all of the characters had their moments for me. I think it's difficult to pick a favourite. I like Will. I like Will a lot. Shane probably pips Will for me because Shane is insane, and I like that. I can get on board with that insanity. For me personally, it fits in with my sort of character spec. So
this is definitely how I am when I don't LARP so much, but I do a lot of tabletop role playing, and a lot of my characters have like rage moments that just kind of occur. Jon can speak to that a little bit. You know, no matter how they're intended to be, put them in combat and they see red. So.
It's the best way to be, though. I think I've got a picture of me in a battle at a LARP, and it's where our shield wall is slowly edging forward, and they're saying, yeah, don't go charging off, and the picture is me 30 feet further ahead than everyone else, attacking the wall on my own. That's the sort of mentality there we have here. I feel it's a really, really good one. So Sugar Junkie said Evan was my favourite, so it's makes Evan seem like a weird caricature, which now, having watched Jon as Jon the ST for years, it makes Evan seem like a weird caricature in retrospect. Yeah.
Way to go, getting link blanked.
Oh damn!
Yeah.
Scott Swift.
He was trying to plug our.
Oh, I know it was. Yeah, I turned that one off a long time ago. So
it's hard for me to pick Evan partially because I play him, and so like I see his faults, I see where he is deficient, but it's also hard because I think that he appeals to a lot of people who have run games in the past because they see his frustrations. The thing that makes me uncomfortable is that I see all the mistakes that he's made, and I'm like, no, don't like him. Do the things that he's not doing, and like that's not really fair to him either.
No.
I think I'm just hard on myself more than anything else.
Yeah.
Yes.
Scott, if you message Dino Wookie with a link, mate, he will put that up for you. All right.
Do it, Scott. Do our PR.
Yeah. Come on. Jump through hoops. Come on, man. So, but yeah, there's a lot of memorable characters, and there are a lot of memorable scenes, and I love the fact that the group comes together as a group, and it's really, really nice, and the dynamic between everyone works as well, and it shows that they all obviously got on, which is great. I mean, I personally was hoping for like TPKs like after like episode 3 and stuff, because that's the insanity that I could get on board with, but it's really good.
You're welcome. Eventually, we did provide.
Yeah, I know. I hated it. I couldn't. It too emotional for me, that one. It hit me right in the feels there, and I was just like, "No, how dare you, Jon? You
wanted like a chaotic TPK.
Yeah,
you didn't want like a heart-rending.
No, you've made me feel something. I don't like to feel things.
This is actually why Amber is so amazing, because we knew each other before we started season 1. And that was a group of 5 that had to kind of coalesce, and then we had to add somebody to that group, and that's got to be tough for anybody, and that's daunting to say like, oh, you've already had a whole lot of time to spend together, and now I have to. But Amber just like smooth as anything, just goes in, and I mean, we adore her. Yeah. So
yeah.
I've got a question written down here because, as I say, I was watching the first series earlier today, just to last minute prep and stuff, and I've got it's a simple thing. Amber brackets cat. What accent is that?
Oh, shoot, she told me, and I forgot.
Because I was just there listening to it, and I was just like, I can't place this accent.
I could also say that whatever I answer would be what she was aspiring to do, but I'm sure residents of the UK might
that's
not
probably
necessarily
it.
agree.
It is a specific one.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I can't remember exactly what she said
coach.
either.
She did prepare quite a bit, which is why when she did her audition, we were blown away because she had this really like beautiful voice picked out for Element.
Manchester, Mancunian.
Maybe.
It wasn't
I don't
like it wasn't Northampton, not Yorkshire.
No.
I
definitely. Right, someone go out and tweet Amber and ask her.
I mean, that's probably what you should do.
Answer.
Yeah. There we go. Cheers, Dan. Thanks for the link. That's awesome. So there we go. Go and sub to RPG Clinic and stuff. It is good because you did the Jane Austen RPG, didn't you? So I think
was yesterday.
Yes, and you still had the makeup on an hour ago, John. So
I just couldn't bear to take it off.
I did wonder.
Did you spend the day as Lord Elton's starling, John?
Yeah, betraying everybody who I know and love for Scott. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I did.
We've all been there. No.
Yeah.
Battle's asked a question. Do you mind if I just
go for
hop onto this? I just don't want to forget it. In LARPs, Evans was a super fighter. Is that all stagecraft, or do I have skills? So, at the risk of trivializing the answer, it's both. All the fights were obviously choreographed. All the people who are involved in LARPs have varying levels of stage combat training, but all have professional, like hundreds of hours of stage combat training. I ended up going a little further into it, and I have done work as a fight choreographer. So I have some skills, and once upon a time I did have quite a few skills just in terms of fighting with those weapons, not choreographed but actual combat. But I admit that it's been some time since I've played in a live action combat LARP.
Well, if you are ever in the UK, then definitely hit me up for to come along to Empire, because that is an experience. It only lasts 3.5 days, so it's a big one. So be prepared to come and have. Yeah. So it used to last 4.5, so they had to get rid of a day. But yeah, definitely.
They had to cut a day.
It's massive. It's great fun though. It is great fun. So if you ever are in the UK and you get a weekend free, yeah, come to Empire and you will enjoy it.
Only if I get to bring Liz with me.
Well, with that response, definitely.
I promise to burn all the things.
Good. I would expect nothing less. So yeah, it would definitely. Empire was my game too. I played a bard, highly recommended. Yeah, we've got some fantastic bards. Not as good as JT, obviously, with the hurdy-gurdy, but still. So
the hurdy-gurdy.
Oh, that hurdy-gurdy. No.
I have to ask, because it's something that I've been wondering. Mark Camacho, the barista manager, well, the board game manager, the board game store barista manager. What was the inspiration for that character? Because I love that guy. He was fantastic. Even the Scottish accent was brilliant. So,
Mark is somebody who's quite well known here in the Montreal performing community. He works as a director. He works as a voice actor, and he is in quite a few films, often playing kind of tough guy roles. Like mobsters or bosses or that kind of thing, right? Like the authority figures.
Yeah.
And I mean, he once played the president, and there was a he we were seeing if he could participate, and then I kind of wanted to make sure that he had the chance to chew the scenery a little bit, because he's just like, the problem is that when he's performing, it's hard to keep a straight face if you're just paying attention to what he's doing.
Yeah.
I mean, and that I just wanted him to be able to just really just dive in and just let him do what he does incredibly well. And it sort of came to me as this sort of like, what could I do that would be the most fun for him to perform, which is how I sort of approached that writing. And then Julian also was instrumental in making sure that we could create a character that kind of fit, because we knew that we wanted somebody who was out there enough that it was clear that he wasn't one of the group, that he was like a force acting on the group instead. So that's mostly where that came from.
Yeah, he was really, really good. I loved a lot of the interactions between him and Scott. They were so funny.
Scott was the only member of the cast who could actually keep a straight face with Mark. Most of us have several ruined takes where we've just broken down laughing, but Scott somehow magically was able to keep it stone-faced opposite Mark. And then Mark, meanwhile, was saying that he had trouble not laughing opposite Scott. It was a match made in heaven, really.
That's fantastic to hear. That's really, really good. I like that a lot. I do have to admit, I do skip back to those scenes every now and again just to watch them, because there's chemistry between the two, should we say, because they obviously clicked there. It was really, really good to watch.
I can't wait to write the sex scene that I have planned.
See, normally on my stream, I would I would take that to such an extreme level after that sort of comment. I did some filming a week ago for a medieval GTA game where I was a corpse collector, and the director, a guy called Max Ward, he came up to me and he said, "So, have you created a backstory for your corpse here?" So it was a dummy with a wig on it, and I was like, "Yeah, this is my fifth wife, Maud." And he's like, "Oh, okay, how did she die?" Now, I don't know if I can repeat on stream what I said to Max, but it was pretty foul. It was pretty foul and disgusting. But he saw the funny side of it, so normally, I think I may have actually repeated it. It is after Watershed. Yeah, but I'm still not going to repeat it. Yeah, medieval GTA game. It's called Rustler. So yeah, so you'll see a devilishly handsome corpse collector pushing an 80-kilogram car up a hill 20 odd times. Fuck me, that was hard. That was great fun though. Good, nice little workout though. So
it's important to stay fit.
Yeah, I'm not. When I was in the military, I was fit, but I'm not anymore, and I'm really not fit.
It never truly leaves you. You could summon it if you needed to.
Oh well, you see me in a battle, I don't stop running. It's great. So if we move on to a little bit of. Oh yeah, I saw a note here that my streams jump all over the place. By the way, if you hadn't noticed, it's a good thing. Ad-libbing during season 1 and 2. Julian was saying a lot. He was like, this bit was ad-libbed. Oh, that bit was ad-libbed. Oh, I think this bit was ad-libbed as well. How much of that went on with the first 2 series? How much freedom were you all given to... Or was Julian there with a whip, just literally saying, "No, you stick to the script"? Go on, Liz. You're burning there with something.
I want to answer first.
It's not fair for me to answer. I wrote the damn thing.
I know.
Go on in, John.
Here's the thing. There's no way for somebody to write something on a page, write as much as we had to for seasons 1 and 2, and then give them to actors and not expect them to be able to make it their own. It's always going to sound better and more natural and funnier, and people will come up with better ideas if they're given the ability to change things or make things correct. I'm very happy to stop an actor from saying something if it doesn't make sense, if it contradicts something else in the script, or if they say something and I'm like, a role player wouldn't necessarily use that term if they're new to the hobby or whatever. That makes some sense. But otherwise, it's usually, to me, I mean, I like talking with the actors and then editing the script before we even go to set. So why would I mind if they also make changes while on set, as long as it works for everything and makes everybody happy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know in season 1, I think I was afraid of doing too much ad-libbing, because I didn't have that much film acting experience, and so I was just focusing on like the lines I did have and was not super comfortable with deviating. I may have had a few moments, but I can't remember them off the top of my head. JT, John Silver, who played Arthur, was, I think, of the group of us, the one who was the most comfortable ad-libbing. And then in season 2, we started to go a little more out there. And the scene that Scott's referring to in chat right now, the one where the three of us are just sitting on the rock talking about spectral dogs, and it seems like you have a problem with the dogs and all that. That was all just ad-libbed. I think that Julian came over and said, we want to have a scene of the three of you, like, just talking about whatever while John, bops you over the head. And so we were like, okay, and we just made something up. But yeah, I think Scott and I, it's our favorite bit of ad lib, because we still every so often will say to each other, like, seems like you have a problem with dogs.
Yeah, it was a very, very good. I do like that moment. Yeah, so I'm thinking of taking the spectral dogs. So, oh really? Yeah. Seems like you got a problem with the dogs. No problem with the dogs.
So there were a couple of sections in the script where there was ad-lib kind of specified. So the Arthur complaining about the door in season 1 that was going to poison him, that was all ad-libbed. The conversation about the spectral dogs and specifications for people's gear was meant to be ad-libbed. But then there were other parts where people just came up with ideas and threw them out there. There were parts where people took what was written in the script and then in the moment, either because they remembered the line differently or because they just got put into that moment so deeply that they came up with different lines, and we kept a lot of those because in general that's when you get the good stuff. So that helps. But yeah, I wouldn't say that it wasn't like a semi-scripted series. The whole thing was scripted, but it's always going to be better when people come up with their own stuff. No writer's that good.
I disagree. Sometimes people had ad libs to provide, and they provided them, and then they were also asked to give a take where they said the line, and then later on Julian's editing, and sure enough he goes with the one where people are sticking to the script. So I think you are that good of a writer, John.
Just say the damn line, Neale.
Yeah, because there was one with Amber and Scott as well, wasn't there? Where it's just where Scott stops her and says, "No, we'll wait." He says, "We'll just wait for him to come back round on himself." And then she's like, "Shall we sit?" So,
Yep. Yes. Yeah. Should.
And that was it.
Julian's
Yes. That's all Scott.
Oh yeah. Julian's very good at not calling cut too early. Recognizing that even if it looks like a line bobble or it looks like actors are going off script, he doesn't immediately stop. He lets it play out, because sometimes it's even in those moments after the last line of a scene and actors throw something else extra in there. That's when you really find some excellent ways to sort of close the shot, and that it's more work for him, so it helps.
Yeah. So I'm going to take us on another complete wild tangent again, like I'm good at. Keep you on your toes. So, season 1. Where did the idea for this series come from? Who came up with everything to start off with? What's the story there? Who brought you all together? Who did it all?
The original concept for LARPs was created by Julian. Julian Sibley, our director, had this idea of what would happen in a role-playing game if somebody felt one way in real life and a different way in character? Or alternately, what would you do if you wanted to express something in real life but found you could only do so in character? And the theme of having somebody's play affect their life and somebody's life affect their play was something that he was interested in doing. And he wrote a script, came to me because he knew that I was a LARPer. And I read the script and I thought that there were some really solid ideas in there. And at the same time, I was like, this isn't really how role players would potentially react in these situations, because Julian didn't at the time have that much experience in live action role playing or role playing in general. And I was like, you know what, like there's something really interesting in there. Write another draft and come back to me, and I'd love to read it again. And he was like, okay. And then I didn't hear from him for years. Well, no, I mean, like I've in touch with him, but like I never saw another draft for a couple of years until he eventually was like, yeah, I really want to do this, but I don't know if I can write it. Can you write it? And I was, I was flattered, but I also kind of had dancing in the back of my head that sort of like, we could turn into another role models like easily with this. We could be the let's make fun of live action role players and all that. And I said the only way that I want to do this is if we're going to do it right. And to me, that just meant like, okay, well, we're going to make sure that we try to portray these people as people. And Julian was like, yeah, sure. I have my producer. We've already got this, like, and he goes into this whole thing, and I'm like, you're actually going to turn this into like something of a professional set, which is not what I anticipated. I thought that we were like, okay, well, we'll do something that will be fun. And then no, he wanted to make a real go of it. So honestly, I throw the creation of LARPs, like we ended up retooling a lot of that original script and changing elements of the characters, and we added a character. We like there was a lot that changed because it was Shane wasn't part of the original pitch.
Julian writing it, I wouldn't exist. So
but I really do credit Julian and Ben for making sure that this thing could happen, and happen the way that I was hoping that it would, and then blowing my expectations out of the water.
That's really interesting. I'm a bit in shock, to be honest. Julian said, "I regret not writing it every day." Oh. So I mean that's gut wrenching, that one. So I think it's nice that I think in this series that you've given every character their background to show that they are doing all of this. And I think the one thing that sort of piques my interest a lot was with Shane, and the fact that she is a journalist as well, and she's writing this story about LARPers, because it's one of the moments with Evan where he comes out and he says, look, the media do not treat us well. They really don't treat us well, and now you've just gone and done this. It's like, literally, what the fuck? And stuff. And it's just like, oh, yeah, because we've had moments with our LARP where journalists and TV have come along and tried to do things of it, and the way it's been edited and cut, it makes everyone look like an absolute pleb. It really, really does. So it's one of those other moments where it's like, this is really nice. This is nice to see because it's real as well, but it's positive still, which is a big thing.
I remember Jon and I were with a group of friends, and we were seeing a play. I don't remember which play it was, but we were hanging out in the lobby of a theater, and you turned to me and you were like, we need to talk about Shane and Evan's fight, because you were like about to write it or something. We knew that there was going to be a blow up, and we knew that Shane and Evan especially were going to have a really vicious argument, and you wanted to brainstorm about the types of things that would be really hurtful for one of them to say to the other. And we were kind of like talking about ideas, and this is how we have nice conversations, Jon and I.
Yeah, how do we twist the knives in each other's like ribcage?
So much fun. But yeah, we were talking about, okay, well, Evan he's speaking as somebody who's been burned by this before, and he's feeling betrayed by somebody he counted as a friend. And then from Shane's perspective, she sees it as, but I'm writing about it because I love the hobby. And then to have Evan immediately turn around and say, like, no, you're not a LARPer. You're just a pretender. Was so we kind of settled on that as being the harshest things that they could say to each other.
Yeah. Evan being a gatekeeper is just, every time I see that, I'm just like, you need to shut up right now. Like, the idea that you get to decide who a LARPer is.
Because he cares about the game. Like, they're both terrible in that scene. That's why I love it.
I mean, yeah, well, because that's part of it, is that if characters are perfect, they would not be interesting to watch. No. And it's sometimes hard to play characters knowing that they're making a mistake, because it's rough. And like, I don't like shouting at Elizabeth. It's not my favorite thing in the world to do.
Have fun. Afterwards, we high-fived.
Oh no, afterwards it's great. It's just like, in the moment, I'm like, all right, I have to get really angry at her, like, right now. And yeah, I think that in the end, what I wanted to do with that was dig a little bit into the media and be like, yeah, like, you don't portray role players well. You don't portray LARPers even like they're even worse. But in general, role playing is seen as, oh, I can't handle real life, so I'm going to put myself in my parents' basement, or go out into the woods and shout lightning bolt 8 times while throwing beanbags at somebody. But at the same time, Evan didn't read Shane's articles, so if he had, he would have understood what she was trying to do.
Yeah.
And I think that he might have deservedly been a little bit like, hey, a little heads up next time before you publish my personal life. But at the same time, he was immediately just like, what I was trying to play off on there was, he assumed automatically that this wouldn't be worth watching or worth reading. In much the same way that I assumed that there would be people who would see LARPs as a title and just run the other way, being like, there's no way that this is ever going to be something that's going to be worth my time. So that's kind of where I was going with that.
I can understand that. Coffee is gatekeepers need to be bopped with a hitty stick. That's probably the politest way to put it, to be honest. But we're a family show here. We're really not. I think when I watch...
missing an S.
I think when I watched, I was quite lucky that I kept on with the first series, because there was something very specific that happened that, for a British LARPer, it made me go, oh, I don't know if I want to watch this. This is so cringy for me at the moment. And it was where a certain elf gets out the little baggie and throws it, and I was just like, oh, I'm done. And then I left it on as background noise, and then it was like I started to hear people talking in the dialogue, and it's sort of like it pulled me away from whatever game I was playing at the time. And I remember sitting here just watching it, because so I have my computer in front of me here, and I have a nice TV over there, so I'm all in the living room, and I have that's my setup. So, and I remember just putting the game down and just watching, and then the next thing I realised, I've like binge watched 6 episodes, and it's like turned everything off, and I'm sat on the sofa watching this in series, and I've had to go back to the beginning to watch it all, because LARP, when they have that sort of thing, that whole fireball, that sort of thing is a trope that unfortunately I don't think will be shaken for years and years to come, because it is still quite a prevalent thing. But it's nice that the way that you wrote it all was very much opening it up, so people could sit down who don't know what LARP is, they don't know anything about the hobby, they are able to turn up, they could sit down, put it on, and go, okay, well, a lot of these characters are definitely relatable. So seeing Evan essentially sulking in a coffee shop, and that scene where he turns up behind the barista, like first thing where he goes in the morning, he opens the door, and then Evan stood right behind him. It's like, oh yeah, I'm sure a lot of people in the world have felt like that about anything, and when things go wrong. So I think Liz has really hit the nail on the head when she says you are a very talented writer, and that. So you've done a great job there, man. You've really done a great job. And I'm not just saying that because you're in front of me. If I thought it was crap, I'd say it, because unfortunately I am a dick like that.
Here, if you thought it was crap, right? I hope.
How dare you call me out like that, Liz? How dare you?
That would be great. Wouldn't it be amazing?
Yes, on your show, we probably wouldn't be counted among them if our show was garbage.
But wouldn't that be amazing if all you did was pull people onto your show so that you could trash their stuff?
Ooh, that's a
Yes.
good idea. We'll do that. Scott, do you want to come on next week, mate? Are you?
What do you think?
The spell balls are the most notorious meme, right?
Yeah.
The idea that the abstract nature of LARP's rules system is something that an outsider or a bystander, it's very hard for them to wrap their head around, because of course we understand that a LARP is a game, and a game has rules, so that we're not just tearing each other to pieces in the woods. And
Yeah.
that's that, like, having the spell balls and having her ability to use them. What we try to do is make sure that whenever a spell ball is being used, the joke isn't that they have a spell ball. It could be that they miss their target. It could be that the effects of the spell ball are amusing. But the main thing that we did with the show that I thought was useful was that we never tried to explain how the rules went. And the show's never really about what the story in the LARP is. It's actually about the players and their reactions to the game. And while the game's internal story is important to the characters, so we show off some of it, it's never really the thing that we've come to see. It's why I'm so happy with Season 2, Episode 7, the fight between Britney and Evan, where she ends up using a spell ball to destroy a weapon, and then tries to end the fight with another spell, but gets interrupted and shanked, essentially. What we were like, I wanted to show, like, yep, you know what? In the middle of this life or death fight, she has the ability to pull out a beanbag and use it, and nobody acts like it's weird. And I was hoping that by the time that you get to that episode, you're okay with it. That you're just like, yeah, I understand and believe what she's doing here. As normal.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm not going to lie here. I'm not going to sit here and bullshit. I'm going to say I'm not a fan of that beanbag thing. I'm not a fan of it, and I think it's not for me. But when you see, by the time you get to that point, I am definitely with her going, and when that happens, she gets shanked. I'm just like, oh, you bastard! I felt something again, and it's just like So I think you've definitely what you wanted to do there. You've definitely succeeded with, especially for me. You bastard! How dare you? There's some good points coming up in chat at the moment. I'll scroll back up. So Oreguen, it feels like the cinematic fight scenes were written more closely to represent the feel of the fights when you're in the moment, suspending disbelief, than perhaps more mechanic fights or whatever. We had a chat, didn't we, beforehand? Ooh, I think my camera's frozen.
Yes.
Yeah.
It has not done that for a while.
Goodness.
Oh, there we go.
Oh my.
Yeah.
There you are.
It has
Missed you.
Yeah, it has not done that for ages. It always leaves me in some fantastic poses as well. It's great. We were talking about beforehand about the fight choreography, and how if you put a LARP fight on screen, it's going to look atrocious, absolutely awful. So it was good. Everything. So did you? Because you had a fight choreographer on, other than yourself, didn't you? Do help with it all. So what would you say what was your favourite fight then to witness or see them? So for both of you.
A season 2, episode 7. Yeah, Corellia versus the Executioner. There's just so Charlotte and Jon were rehearsing and filming in rainy, muddy, cold conditions.
Yeah.
They gave it their all. It's a beautifully choreographed fight by Sean Beichu, and the stakes are ridiculously high. I just thought they both, like, I get very emotional every time I watch that fight still, and the music is stunning.
Yeah.
It's my favorite fight, partially because I adore when every time Charlotte, who plays Britney, just reaches forward and takes a weapon that's on my person and just starts like pulling a knife out of my like strapped knives here and just starts shanking me with it. She puts forward a ton of emotion into those fights. And one of the things that I was conscious of while playing Evan is that Evan is far less emotional when he fights. Because to him, he's like, I am providing an enemy for the players to react to, and trying to give them the focus.
Yeah.
And Charlotte just takes it and just really ramps it up. But then even when it's about to be over, when Will shows up, and that's a cool moment, because then also we see the difference between how he's treating the fight and how Brittany's treating the fight, because he's backing up like, whoa, and just like trying to find the best moment that he can sort of cut in and win. To me is fascinating. I think that's also just beautifully shot. At the same time, I adored watching the Shane versus Lance. And the main reason why I adored watching that fight is because it's the only like major fight in the series that doesn't involve me. By major fight, I mean like one that like lasts for a long period of time. It involves several different stages and stuff like that. Because there's Claudia versus Kat, where Kat holds onto the weapon long enough to allow Will to shoot the arrows and stuff like that.
Versus Arthur.
Yeah, which is really just them wailing on him.
You know.
But the thing that I liked about that is that it showed that the show could carry a combat divided, right? Like that's also one of the only times that we see a combat where we cut away from it and then come back, and the stakes are still high. And the reality of a LARP fight, of course, as you know, is that it's a scrappy, quick affair with just sort of like, and then it's over. And then you kind of run off to do the next thing. Or you have people hitting and calling their shots, like 3 damage, depending on the rule set that you're using.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to hear systems when they would rather watch people kick each other's asses.
Yeah, exactly.
So really, just the thing that I also love about the Shane fight is that there's sportsmanship in there, right? Like they're not above tearing each other's armor off, but you know, Lance takes his helmet off and Shane doesn't immediately run up to him and just stab him. She lets him do it. When Lance loses his weapon, Shane lets him pick it back up because she's like, I want to win this fight. Like, I want to win it. I don't want to just like disarm you and take you out. There's a respect from both people. And to me, it's one of the best representations of two people engaged in a heated contest. And then and at the end, he's like, orange slices, and she's like, yup. And to me is like the best times that I've LARPed is when at the end, two people who should have hated each other or who even was responsible for a player character's death are then like, awesome, high five. Let's go to the bar and just like, you know, like toast to our characters' deaths and like that's amazing. That's a wonderful moment. So that's why I think my edge goes to Brittany, Will, and Evan because I love that fight so much, but I really do like the result of Shane and Lance.
Yeah.
We're talking about moments when you feel like a badass, and something I've always wanted to do is have that moment where you're like walking what feels like slow motion toward your enemy, and you know that the two of you are going to fight, and you're kind of staring up at them in defiance. Like that ticked so many of like the things that I've always wanted to do in that moment. So it was a very difficult fight to learn and to execute, but I'm really
you'd both definitely love Empire in the UK. There's when you're going to the battles and you're in an army of 500, and then you're going up against 500 orcs, and they're all in. You've got this thing called the Sentinel Gate, which the army walks through, and you've got like the spirits of each nation doing a song and a dance to let everyone through. And as you're walking through, you've got everyone sort of like patting your back, and they're urging you on and stuff. And you get into that field, and as you're walking forward with your unit, and you see like these orc units all over the place, and then you get all the goosebumps and the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. So, and it's like that moment, that buzz. It's a feeling that you can't really. So Coffee says, I think it's hitting 800 a side now. I think so. Yeah, we're getting bigger. We're getting bigger. It's great. So, but yeah, I love that sort of feeling, and I love the fact that you could see the passion when people were fighting and stuff like that. Passion's a big thing for me when it comes to everything that I do. So it's absolutely great. Once those
and it becomes real. It's it's
definitely.
Magic.
Definitely. So let's
Gamers spend years chasing that high when everything melts away and you are just fully immersed. And when you hit that moment where emotionally, physically, it's just everything clicks. I mean, that's the dragon that we all chase. That's amazing. Yeah. So
I have to admit, I think at Empire we live it for days. We are in that high almost constant, and it's amazing. So if you are ever in the UK, give us a shout and we'll get you along, because I think that's an experience you'll take back with you, because it's just you just can't get away from it at all. I want to touch. Well, I said don't want to touch on. I want to linger on season 3. Season 3 is the reason that we're here. Let's be very honest. I would say it's my sparkling personality, but we'd all know that's a lie. Season 3 is something that we're all cheers, John. Season 3 is something that we would love to see. You left it on a nice cliffhanger at season 2. I have to admit, when I saw it, I went, "Ooh, Shadowrun," straight off the bat, and it was just like, that looks interesting. So where do we all stand with season 3 at this very, very at this point in time, at this moment? Either of you, it's fine.
I mean, I'll give the should I give the boring what we need to make it happen speech, and then John, you can give any hooks that you're willing to provide.
Only if you also manage to say something that isn't boring. I don't want to force you to take the boring parts just because you're good at it.
Hey, this is exciting to me because there's a chance of season 3 coming out of this. So basically, years passed since the conclusion and the publishing of season 2, and now all of a sudden this news that and to echo many of the comments, oh my god, LARPs isn't dead, people responding to our announcement video. In short, what happened is we had a few attempts at creating new partnerships and collaborations with companies and distributors that might be able to help us make season 3 a possibility. None of them ultimately came to fruition until a fan of the show put us and the Fantasy Network in contact on Twitter. Right. They just tweeted us randomly earlier this year and said, "Hey, have you ever spoken to at the Fantasy Network? Because we think that you two would be a really good fit." And then the Fantasy Network wrote back and said, "Oh yeah, we're following you, DM us." And so we did. We set up a meeting, and no. Next thing you know, we're on the Fantasy Network. All of a sudden, we have access to a new audience, this new life to the show, and we sort of realized that if it's going to happen, now is the time to make a push to do a crowdfund that is honestly very ambitious. But that's because season 3 has to be ambitious in order to be worth it. We left season 2, as you said, on such a high, and we really upped our production value between season 1 and season 2, and we're very proud of that. So we don't want to take a step backwards. If we're going to do season 3, we've got to do it right. That means paying everybody fairly, including paying Jon to write it. In short, what we need, there's a pre-funding list on the Fantasy Network's website. And that list is essentially, we're collecting names and email addresses for people who are pledging to support the crowdfund when it goes live. When that list hits 4,500 emails, which is a lot, we're at just over 700 right now, that's when we know and we feel comfortable putting the crowdfund live. We don't want to put a Kickstarter live if we don't think that there's even a decent chance that it could succeed. Because we owe all the fans of the show more than that. So that's where we're at. We need people to share and hype the show and tell their friends and tell media and get the word out there as much as possible. Because if season 3 happens, here are some fun things you can expect. Oh wait, I shouldn't be pointing down.
He's actually top right. You're top left, Liz. Yes, there we go.
Oh my god.
What Liz says is true. The reality is that we've been hoping to do a season 3 since we wrapped season 2. We wanted to. The reason why we ended season 2 the way that we did was because we knew that there was a chance that that would be it, that we would not go further, but we also knew that there was a chance that we'd be able to keep going. And that was enough for us to get excited. And over the course of the past few years, we've never truly kind of abandoned that idea. There was always this sort of like, we're not going to do it unless we can find the right way to do it. We're absolutely not in a position where we can take a flyer on it and, you know, drop ourselves into debt so that we can make a 3rd season. We just can't.
No.
We've got careers to worry about, businesses to run, that sort of thing. But we've been thinking about, like, where do these characters go? What would happen to them? What sort of things would we see? And what other stories could we tell? Because the other thing is, if we don't have a good story to tell, if we have nothing to say, then it's perfectly fine to put the series to bed. But there is stuff for us to say. It's been years since we shot season 2, which means that it's probably going to have been years since we've seen that scene on the rooftop when we go into season 3. I don't know if you've noticed, but I no longer have the hair I had.
Wow.
And
to be honest, man, there wasn't a great deal there in the first place, was there?
No, there was not. But it's you know, it's gone now, and so one thing that I can say here is that, and obviously all of this is subject to change because, you know, we don't know what's going to happen between now and the crowdfund and all of that, is that we'll have had time pass, which is going to affect the story, and it's going to affect some of the themes of what we're going to be putting forward in season 3. And to me, that's an exciting thing. One of the things that I also want everybody to know, and something that I think that we've managed to prove over the past few years, just in terms of our playing games on Twitch and the like, is that role-playing is not necessarily a young person's activity. It just isn't. Role-playing's for everybody. And it doesn't matter how old you are. If you want to, you can play. So, you know, we're not going to pretend that, you know, like, oh no, we're still all like 23 and just out of college and everything's just like, we have all the free time in the world. You know, what happens when real life takes over?
Yeah. It's I was just going to say to Dan in chat, DinoWiki, if you can go to LARPs the Series.com, I did put a link into this in chat, but I've forgotten what it is. Because I only did it earlier today. So if you can go to that and then put the link into chat, because that's the place where everyone can go and sign up and stuff. You can do that for us, mate.
It's a button on our website that people.
Yeah, nice big button up the top there. So it's, I mean, when I saw the end of it, and I knew that, and I saw the gap in the time before season 3 and stuff like that, there we go, lovely stuff. Cheers, Dan. Thank you for that. So if everyone follows that link, goes and puts their email in there, you are helping massively, because season 3 does need to happen. So, and I'm not just saying that because they're here either. So I would be saying that all the time because it's great. My thoughts in it. If let me pitch to you an idea, John. I'm going to pitch this to you. It won't happen, I know, but still, I would love to see everyone else has moved on with their life away from LARP, and so like Will is now the manager of that board game shop and stuff like that. So Shane is now the editor. All of this and stuff. Everyone has gone off. Like Evan is a head teacher or something like that. Everyone has gone off and got their job, apart from JT, who is still obsessed with Noctis. He's just still there. He's just obsessed with this character, living like a studio flat somewhere, and then he gets the idea and it's like, oh, I'm going to start this all back up again. And it's him going around trying to persuade everybody to come back to it. That was what I thought.
He living in like some kind of, it's never explained, but he lives in a mansion. And I mean, this is me saying this, we have no mansions in which to shoot. But I just like the idea that we never talk about it, but somehow he has made a buttload of money in these past couple years. I don't care what else happens. I just think he should be filthy rich.
Yeah, as Abby has said, we're getting the band back together, sort of scenario. It's I think that would be fantastic to see him coming out and trying to persuade everybody. Yeah, we need to do this again. Let's do this again. Let's see what happens here. And then gets everyone to go off and persuade Evan to try to do it all. And it's just like, oh, okay.
And Evan's like sitting in a dark room with a cat. There's just a silhouette in front of a fireplace, like, I knew you'd come back eventually.
Yeah, like Dr. No, just sat there.
Yeah.
Stroking his cat.
Elizabeth, I'm going to have to borrow one of your cats.
Okay. Would you like the really fluffy, derpy one, or would you like the asshole cat?
One of them will kill me.
Has to be asshole cat, surely.
But she's the better actor of the two of them.
Chaos Kitty. That's awesome.
Yeah, Chaos Kitty.
But I think that would be, for me, that was one that I was always like, ooh, that was the first image that I had for season 3. I have to admit, that was the one for me. So, if funding there was no issue, you've got someone out there, a big fan, is a multi-millionaire, and they're going to chuck a few $100,000 your way to say, go off and do this. What would be like the ultimate scenario for you to film in? What would be the goal, the dream for Jon here to do this?
I know that there's a few scenes that I absolutely want to see. There's ways that we've been thinking about how we would show a cyberpunk LARP compared to how we've been showing our the fantasy LARP that we had in the past in seasons 1 and 2. I know that there is a moment between two characters. There is a fight that and Liz knows the fight that I'm referring to.
Yes.
There's a fight that I want to see so very, very badly, and I will tell you one of the characters involved in that fight. It's Kat. There's a fight with her and somebody else that I am so ready for, and I want lighting effects. I want smoke. I want sparks coming down from the ceiling for this one. I just am so excited to see what we can do with this. And the funny thing is that I think that we'll be able to do it without, breaking the bank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's something incredibly interesting to me about that particular pairing that I'm interested in showing.
Because Amber is a very talented stage combatant. She's highly trained. She's better than all of us in the core cast except for Jon. And so it's very funny that in season 2 she didn't really, her character
No.
not particularly skilled, because we're all looking at her going, she could kick our ass. Like,
Yeah, she got shafted.
way slowly. So getting an opportunity to for her to show her real life skills would be awesome.
It's only fair.
Yeah, get everyone to show off a bit, show their strengths. That'd be great. Trey Dog has said sounds like a Wild Stallions concert.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
I'd agree. That sounds good. There's I think it was Ira said that her favourite fight was between Kat and Evan, where she just picked up all the weapons and threw them. So
It's the best way to win a fight.
oh yeah, definitely. It was that was good. That was really good. So are you, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that it would be between Kat and Shane here, because I think that would be an interesting one. So because Kat strikes me as the more graceful of the two, and
You. No. You're not wrong.
wow. So Kat being more graceful and Shane being the more I think say physical, the more aggressive.
I'm more tanky.
Yes, definitely. So I think that would be.
You have the reach.
I do have my very long limbs. It's true.
How tall are you,
You have
Liz?
the reach.
I'm 5'10".
Oh, okay.
I'm 5'10" with really long arms.
5'10". That's just your arms.
Yeah.
Just my arms. Yeah.
Excellent.
Tom Panda is saying Keanu Reeves for season 3. I think it's safe to say that if Keanu Reeves has any interest in being in LARPs season 3, we will find a way to work him into an amazing fight. Is that safe to say, John? Yeah.
Look,
Great.
if you're doing anything that involves cyberpunk in any way, shape, or form, and Keanu Reeves is interested, you don't turn that down.
Yeah.
That's just
Wow.
not a thing.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not. So,
I mean, he's Canadian. He'll help us out, right? That's how that works.
wow, I don't want to touch on any national stereotypes there with that one. I'm not touching that one with a 10-foot barge pole. Have you?
He was born in Lebanon, but he grew up in Toronto.
Ah,
Yeah, he was. I believe he was born in Lebanon as part of I think his parents were military or diplomats or whatever.
have you had any responses from from any celebs or anything like that? Who would be the most famous fan of LARPs the series that you'd know of?
Alicia Day count?
Wasn't she involved in as a producer or something like
exactly.
that?
She
So
discovered the show. A lot of people, a lot of media had been comparing LARPs and the Guild, and I guess because of that, because the Guild was mentioned in an article, she discovered it that way, season 1. And so Geek and Sundry reached out to us and said, hey, we'd like to partner with you for season 2. And actually, when we released our announcement video that we were partnered with the Fantasy Network, she retweeted it and responded saying, oh, fingers crossed that this gets made. I'm like hopeful. So yeah, she's a famous fan of the show, and we're so grateful to her, because without her and Geek and Sundry's reach, we would not have the views that the show has right now.
yeah, well, because I remember watching the Guild itself, all those seasons of that was great fun to watch as well. So because that was what led to a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
but I think
that was that one.
But yeah, okay, yeah, we'll take that. Felicia Day, famous fan. That's well, if she's watching now, then you need to do more to help.
She's done a lot. We appreciate everything that she's done for us.
Yeah, but I'm British. I get away with this. It's
Is that how it works?
Apparently so, but not in global politics. No, unfortunately, we're a bit crap. So what would be like the ultimate storyline then? Because I mean, obviously, I mentioned to you earlier that season 3, it struck me as Shadowrun-esque. in that. So I mean, obviously nothing's been written at the moment or anything like that, but you must have had some ideas going around that beautiful head of yours.
Well, there is the very opening scene where Shane bursts into an emergency room and just is frantically looking for someone, and of course in the chaos of an ER, it's almost impossible to find somebody that way, until eventually it becomes absolutely clear that there is Evan hooked up to 900 different machines, unable to speak, unconscious, and just as Shane gets into the room, a doctor calls it. And then, Sweet Mother Logic starts playing. Yeah, the theme song, and then we're ready to go.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, this has been the plan for a long, long time.
Not to worry, I am ready to Viking funeral for him, and just like sets fire to the bed.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a way to start a series. Yep. That is a hell of a way.
Go big or go home.
Very,
Writing
very
myself
true.
out, the most important part of this.
Wow. Just wow. I think Dan's shot off. He's got to be up in 5 hours. I think I've got to be up in 5 hours as well for a school run. Yeah. I'm doing well. I'm amazed I'm still awake, to be honest. Let's face it.
I know you told us that you might just doze off in the middle of this.
To be honest,
I mean that.
Yeah. It's start on a TPK. Yeah, that's
on a TPK, and then we do a like, you're probably wondering how we got here kind of thing.
Oof.
Or all of us is like 6-year-olds, and it's a parallel timeline. I don't know. And there's we need to find the younger versions of ourselves.
Yeah, or a Matrix style. It's Matrix styley.
Yeah, or we're all in like retirement homes and we're still LARPing. So we need to cast up like older versions of ourselves now.
Well, season 6 is when we rent out an entire cruise ship.
Yeah, exactly. And then season 5 is the musical season? Or is that season 4?
There is no musical season.
I'm sure you've mentioned this a few times.
6 seasons in a movie. Oh exactly. Yeah, go like Community. 6 seasons in a movie. The best way to be. So, okay, so we've established. So 4,500 fans need to sign in, get your emails on board, get this going.
Just need to give us money to the crowdfund, honestly. So they could be enemies, as long as they still, provide their credit card number at the Kickstarter.
And then
we're not.
Yeah. Oh, so 4,500, and then Kickstarter, and then all of that starts. I mean, and then it's going to be a whole series. It's going to be a large sum of money. So, so it's going to be a lot of fundraisers and stuff like that as well. So I mean, all I would say to everyone is I'm not even going to say if. So when you get your 4,500, I am confident. I am not going to stop tweeting about it and stuff like that. So because it's something I really want to see, I will happily do fundraisers and stuff like that for you both. For everyone involved.
That's incredibly appreciated.
So kind.
Oh, don't give me that. It's begrudging at best.
Brandon, sure would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
We have started talking about perks. We've started planning the crowdfund, even though we're not sure when it's going to be launched. And yes, if Julian were here, he would probably confirm that yes, Blu-rays have been mentioned by him.
Yeah, he did say in his stream that DVDs, Blu-rays, and all that was mentioned. I was trying to talk him out of the T-shirt off his back. So it's actually the same one that John's wearing now, because I really.
This one is actually even more limited edition. Nobody got this one. This is the workout shirt version of that shirt.
So I really, really like the T-shirts, and I was saying to him I want one, and he was just like, no, there are no more left. I'm afraid. It's like.
But did you see the back?
I did see the back. That's what made me want it even more. So I need his address because I'm pretty sure I can take him, and I'll do a swap. He can have one of mine. He can have my channel T-shirt, and I'll have that one. That will be.
So is this like after a match the teams trading jerseys?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll go with that. We'll go with that. I will happily send you both out a T-shirt. It will be. Chuck me your contacts. I will send you both a T-shirt out. Just.
Aw, thank you.
And that would be great.
Aww.
That would be great. I know I'm not getting one back because there's none of those T-shirts available.
They don't exist.
They don't exist.
We don't have the stock. If we did, we would. But all of this is still underway for the crowdfund and for perks. And
Yeah. I mean,
the physical perks that we do have are like good quality and coveted.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was. I think that was the joke of when I tweeted you initially. It was like, what do I have to do to be involved in season 3? So, but yeah, I will happily do fundraisers and stuff like that. Get people going for you and doing anything I can to help out in any way. So it would be great. I really want to see it. So, and that's heartfelt right there.
We felt it. We felt it across the ocean.
So, oh dear. Oh, what did Abby say, John?
A beach episode.
Oh,
Yep.
there we go. Yeah, that'd be good. Do you have many?
We had a hot tub episode, so we can have a beach episode.
Yes, the wonderful
And it's gonna
hot
be
tub episode.
very
Yeah.
gray and sad, and we're all gonna be wearing like sweatshirts. If it's one of our local beaches, or we
Right.
just by the canal.
That'd be great.
I was just thinking that it would be like the first surf LARP.
Ooh.
We were LARPing from surfboards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you sold everyone there. So.
I know what I'm doing.
So what would be the final thing that you two would say to everybody who is watching now to try to get them to get involved and put their emails down and stuff like that?
We, I don't think, are just patting ourselves on the back when we say that this show is accessible to LARPers, veterans of the hobby, and non-LARPers. To people who love the show and who love LARPing, we say there's going to be more of what you love, and there's also going to be a new, really exciting setting to look forward to. And for people who are brand new, we say that this is an accessible way to be introduced to a beautiful community of people. So give it a shot.
Yeah.
Episode 0 of season 1 is only like 2 minutes of your life. Give it a try, and then binge the rest, and then sign up for the pre-fund list. Pretty please. Thank you.
I can't do better than that.
Ah!
Well, you're gonna have to try.
If you are a LARPer, if you are a live action role player, and you are trying to see at least a part of yourself represented in media, we hope that we can do you justice. And we've been trying to do you justice for quite some time. And we're almost at the point where we'll be able to do it again. But we need your help. If you're a role player but not a LARPer, then the same thing applies. Because in reality, as much as the experience of live action role playing is fundamentally different from role playing at a table or online, we're all trying to tell stories. And by putting your email down on a list, you're going to help us tell another one. And if you are neither a role player or a LARPer, but you're somebody who just enjoys watching independent content online, hey, we'll take it. And if it inspires you, great. And if you just sit there and laugh, fantastic. Because the reality is that we're trying to tell a story about people who LARP.
Yeah.
You don't need to know anything about LARPing. You just need to know about how to be a person.
Wonderfully put.
I don't know much about that. Okay, I'm just acting in it.
Is this the part where you just like twist your head slightly and pull off and you're just an android underneath? Yeah.
Oh my
Fantastic. So what I will do now is that when this I'll put this up onto YouTube and I'll chuck it into the Empire Facebook group, because there's about 5,000 people in that one at the moment, I believe, and I'll see if I can persuade them to all just go and put their emails down so we can get this all sorted. Because I think a lot more people are more interested in backing Kickstarters and the GoFundMe sort of stuff than they are putting an email down. So I think that'll be a great thing. But yeah, Brandon's son, yeah, that was beautiful. Really, really was. So very well put, both of you. So that's fantastic. So yeah, I will get this anytime when it's done. You can count on me to raise as much money as I can for you. So I don't know what the how much 20 quid will translate into Canadian dollars or.
Surprisingly, more than you would think.
Oh, right, okay.
Right all over the place, and you never know where it's gonna go next.
You know, I'll tack one other thing on when you say that. $1. I know it seems stupid to say like, oh yeah, $1 counts, because like, what can you do with $1? The reality is, even donating $1 shows support for the project, and it makes it more likely that somebody else who may have more to give at that time will notice and support. It's like, you know how YouTubers are always saying like, you know, smash that like button and hit that subscribe, ring the bell and all that. The reason they're saying that is because it actually is what matters to their livelihoods. Signing up for this pre-fund list, it's I know that like it's sometimes tough to even just put your email on a list. We're never going to email you with stuff that you don't want. We're not going to sell your email to anybody else. It just goes to us for the pre-fund, and that's it. But putting your email on that list, even if you know that when the kick fund, even when you know that the crowdfund starts, you're only going to be able to donate like £1 or $1 Canadian or $1 Australian, whatever. All of that will actually help us get season 3 off the ground. But if you think that you can't do it and that other people will have to do it because you can't, I mean, if you can't spare the money, it's a tough time right now. We completely understand. But even just spreading support, that actually is what's going to get this made. Because unfortunately, if you can't help us, we can't do it.
Yeah.
We're asking for your help because we literally cannot do it on our own. Yeah.
Well, I will definitely be helping out. I think you need a special tier. Steve, if you raise this much money, you can come and be in season 3. I think that's a great one there.
I'm taking a note.
Ooh. So I'm selling my computer, my daughter. They're going.
You're not going to bring your daughter with you?
No, not if I have to sell her to be in this. No. Priorities.
Hey, I've noticed a few other people have already signed up to the list. Thank you.
Fantastic.
I refresh it every so often just to see where we're at.
Yes.
It's 4 a.m. Christmas Day. Liz gets up and checks to see if the number has changed.
It's a brand new day. I wonder how many names. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm an elf.
Wow. So we'll call it there. So 1:40. Not bad for my hour-long stream. It's great. So
it's only 1:40 a.m. for you.
I'm doing well. I'm amazed that loads of people are still watching from my community, and that's amazing to see. They all need to sleep as well. So I think I propositioned Julian, and I said I'll have to get you on as well, but he gracefully ignored me like a boss.
Nice.
So I've got Scott in chat. So I think I'd love to get Scott on to talk about all of this as well. That'd be quite funny, that one. So,
I bet you could get Scott.
Scott.
I bet.
Scott.
I don't know. Scott's pretty mean and standoffish.
I will find you. I will find him. So he needs to say yes now, because I'm not ending otherwise. But yeah, so I'll get this all up onto YouTube tomorrow as well. Then I'll tweet it all out and everything. Just plan for all the long pauses. Yeah, not a problem. I can talk. I really can talk. So I'll get this onto YouTube tomorrow, and we'll get it tweeted out. I'll put it onto every single community that we're part of. Try to get as many signatures as we can for you as well. Oh, name a time and a place. Will do. 2 weeks.
Center of a volcano.
Ooh.
4 months ago.
Small audience now. No. My daughter comes first. Sorry, mate. It will be. Let's go for a week on Friday. Let's do that one, because then, yeah, we'll do that one. I'll tweet you, or I'll message you, whatever. I'm tired. I'm tired. I don't care.
Thanks so much for having us. It was
Yes.
This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Thanks for prompting me, John. I was falling away there. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on, you two. I really appreciate everything that you've done and everything you're doing. It's you've done an amazing thing. You really have, and long may it continue.
It's really appreciated.
Yeah. Thank you for your support and the fact I'm blown away by the fact that you discovered the show a month ago through a GIF.
Yeah.
So that makes me happy.
Yeah, did well.
and thank you to everybody that we did not yet meet before tonight. Thanks for being so awesome and for your great questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really good fun. Really, really good fun. And Scott, I'm coming for you.
Nice.
I'm coming for you, man. So thank you everyone for watching. Love you all. Stay safe. And we'll see you soon. Okay, take care.